everyone. This is Diana.
And this is Karen.
And welcome to the Mother Freakin Realtors. So we are doing a Valentines Special today, and our guest hosts are none other than, oh my gosh, I can't even talk today. You guys are making me nervous. Our bosses, Chris and Jason. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. So how have you guys been?
Wonderful.
Great.
Yep.
Great. Busy.
Great.
All right, well, we're going to dive in real quick because we're doing like a Valentine's special. And I figured, what better way or...
Wait,
There's
we
no
get
other-
chocolate?
No, you guys are not getting a date night or a date pass or something like that. But yeah, we always see you as our boss, like you guys are always busy running around. And I was just trying to understand because you guys have been married for a long time. How did you guys meet? Like, did you guys meet in school? What was it like? I'm just kind of like, thinking about it.
Met a few years ago.
Yeah, quite a few years ago. We met in high school. So, and then been married for 31 years. So it's been a long, amazing, wonderful journey.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
Seems like yesterday.
Yeah, and, not everybody can say that they've been married for a long time because marriage, it's the good part when you start dating, the sweet and all that stuff. But 31 years, that's a lot. That's a long time, and that's a lot of compromise. People grow. Every person or every couple, they have their own likes and then dislikes, and you just have to compromise basically. So I was gonna ask you guys, did you guys like meet in high school or?
Yeah, met in high school, dated. She then went off to college. She's so smart they advanced her in school. But I think for the rest
At
of us,
12 years old? Or
I think even earlier than that. I think it was probably
I
9.
don't know.
So she left high school before I did. So she went off to college. I went off to college, and we met up. 4 or 5 years later, while home on break during Christmas. So
Who made the first move?
Oh, of course, Chris did.
That was a good one. That was a good answer.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But obviously the connection was still there when we saw each other again back visiting our parents. And so we started dating, and the rest is history.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
And how did you guys end up in the real estate business together?
With 31 plus years, we'll condense it down to a few, or
Yes.
even a minute.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
so when we started dating again, I had a cellular phone company back when phones came in bags, and new technology came out, a handheld, which I think is called the Brick, Motorola Brick. It was a long time ago, but I was also getting into real estate, and I was more from an investment standpoint. In land. Land was, my original training was in land, and just absolutely loved it. I worked not only in the desert, but I was also working in Arizona, Havasu, and I was locating property that was either had locked up value, it was underpriced, and so I looked for opportunity, would purchase it, either add value through either entitlement or exposure. Now, mind you, this is 1989,
I remind you
1990.
Don't age yourself.
1990. So there was no internet. There was
Right.
the old-fashioned, you knock on doors, you say, hey, you have this property with a lake view, or you have this property out in Hellendale. And, we would truly old school bring value to the property, and then I would then resell the property. So I started doing that 19, 20 years old, primarily in the summers when I was coming back. So then when we met, we got back together. I asked her to marry me in 1990. The economy in 1990 was strong. Everything was going well. Then in Southern California, we had this little thing called a recession. George Air Force Base closed down, and the aerospace industry shut down in Southern California. It was a triple whammy. It was a hat trick. The economy came to almost a standstill. Just in the Victor Valley alone, we lost 9,000 jobs.
That's a lot of jobs.
So
Especially
obviously
during
a
that
recession
time.
ensued, and
So we knew that we needed additional income to take advantage of the real estate market, because we knew with any type of shift in a market that creates opportunity. So Chris and I bought a defunct car rental company in Palm Springs, California. We were not old enough to rent cars, but we could.
we could own the business.
We
but
could own the business. So we started business with 12 lonely cars down in Palm Springs, and 2 weeks before we got married. So we've been married and working with each other for 31 plus years.
So you talk about, it's 31 years is a long time to be married, but we've also been working together for 31 years. But I think that's actually made us grow together. So instead of growing apart, we've grown more together, or we're on the same path. So I think that journey together has been beneficial for our relationship and our marriage and everything. And we both come from real estate families. So my dad was a commercial broker. His mom was a residential agent. So interestingly, at first we didn't think we were going to get in the real estate business, but of course we ended up here. It's in our blood.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was kind of wondering about that, like where is that mindset coming from? Because it takes a certain kind of animal to want real estate, because there's a lot of agents, we have like a very high attrition rate. People think, they dress fancy,
It's glamorous.
It's
Easy.
glamorous,
Yeah.
but they don't know the work that goes in between.
Yes.
So that's what I was wondering about. So it runs in the family. So that's where that orientation really came from.
Exactly. During college, I bought my first condo. It was in like Rancho Cucamonga area, and then I flipped that and I got a condo in San Bernardino. So at a young age, we were both still drawn to that. I think, like you said, it's from our family, our upbringing. So our parents were entrepreneurs. Both of my parents owned businesses, so it just came natural. And Jason started his first business in high school. He was a DJ.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was,
The real deal, real turntables.
Yes.
I still got it.
Yeah. So,
Oh my God.
but we also knew that it wasn't glamorous. And in other words, both of our parents worked in the industry, and we saw them late hours. At 11 years old, I was taught to answer the phone at home. Thank you for calling. How may I help you? Swear to God. And I had to
That
take
means
their.
I need to start training my kids.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that was before cell phones. That was before pagers. So, when my mom would, basically not be at the office showing, or she was driving home, clients had her home phone number. They had the office phone number. And so I would take calls, if I was home. And I was expected to greet them, thank them for calling, and get their name and their phone number. And so I guess later on in life, I would irritate, I'd call a friend, and, their 15-year-old answers the phone, hey, what's up? And I'm like, come on, answer the phone right, So, we were taught, early what the business is. And I have loved the business since I was a little kid. So there's something that I will show you. And actually in the Apple Valley office, framed in our library section, we have an original MLS book. In fact, it was actually the last one produced. It's kind of historical.
Wow.
But my mom used to get these. So every 2 weeks they'd produce a new book. It'd be about an inch thick, and it was the white pages, and it had, a picture of the house or the property or the building, a little description, the price, and then you go through there and you'd see a mark through it, sold or pending, because that's how
Updating a book.
Exactly,
Gosh,
so there was
yeah.
no internet to use.
I think I even remember newspapers. Obviously you used to find your jobs on newspapers and the listings. I remember seeing listings on newspapers.
So we've seen a lot of change.
A lot of
Yes,
change.
obviously.
But I love those books. I would get in a
Yes.
car and I would go through, and for some reason, at 11, 12 years old, I love looking at real estate.
Okay.
And so I've
Then
been
we get into the teenage years, and we don't want to be like mom and dad, right?
Exactly.
Until we
Oh, yeah.
figure out we're old enough, and we're like, wait a minute, I already have this knowledge.
No, teenage
Yep.
years, I was.
Yeah.
The first business actually was lawn service business, and that was because of my mom. She'd
Oh,
have
that's great.
Barstow has a lot of military.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes there'd be a military transfer and the house would sit vacant while my mom was selling the house. And
You were
so,
part of it. You were part of
yeah.
it.
So whether I thought it was a business or she said, hey, by the way, you're cutting, the colonel's lawn, and you're going to get paid $30 a month. I'm like, woo, money. So in the early days, which was kind of funny, but I didn't have a driver's license or a vehicle, so I'm sure my dad loved it because he'd have to cart me around with, a lawnmower, a weed whacker, and, rakes and everything, and then he'd come back an hour later, pick me up, take me to the next house. So economically, I think my dad's going, really, this doesn't work. So, but I was a kid. It gave me extra cash, and it was fun, and so got to learn from the ground up how to take care of the properties and what creates value.
So it's never too late to invest, is what
No.
Jason is saying.
No.
You can
Never
start
too
as
early.
young
Yeah.
And
as
never.
before you can actually drive or
Yeah.
rent a car.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
So,
We've
well-
always just jumped in and we've figured it out. So.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And what would you tell young investors that want to invest? What do they have to do in order to get started? What would you say? The most important things. Obviously, there's a whole lot.
Stop
Yeah.
watching TV.
There you go.
No,
Nowadays,
Yes, get off your
Yeah.
phone.
right?
Yeah.
you know, you'll see on TV, everyone's, become a millionaire with $1 or buy a property with no money. It's all BS. There's nothing that takes away from hard work and being diligent, and buy that property as soon as you can. Buy that first house. I was just talking to her cousin, who is 21 years old, and he asked, he goes, how do you get started? And I told him, I said, you start with buying a house. As soon as you can buy a house, save up, buy a house, live in it, maybe fix it up, and that becomes your first rental. Because then maybe you buy another house that's across town. It's out of the state. It's you need a bigger house because you have family. Maybe you want a pool table and the room's not big enough. But that gives you opportunity to create that first house. I have a strong rule, which I never sell a property and retain the capital. Never touch principal. But if you sell a property, make sure you roll it into another property. And I can tell you, I think you're going to ask, what's the worst thing that we've ever done? Sell a property. And so I have that in my mind, that I never want to get rid of a property. But however, I wish I would have been buying property younger and earlier. I asked my dad. I was about 14 years old. My dad had that fatherly discussion. You're a freshman. What are your plans for life? Really? But his point was take school serious. You've got to get your grades. If you're actually going to go to college, you can't goof off anymore. So, and I asked him. I said, well, Dad, if everyone wants to be successful, that's a lot of competition. How do you do it? And didn't skip a beat. Turned around and goes, you work hard. You work harder than everyone else.
Nothing really beats that.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
It comes down to that.
And it comes down to that. And so when we started off, I never forget telling my mentor, I was 21 years old. My mentor was a little seasoned at 75 years old. And I told him, we're working 50 hours a week. And he said, that's it?
What?
Yeah. And so
I think we were working more than that because we were open 7 days a week and didn't have an employee.
we
so.
did, yeah. We were, and so, I don't know, a month or two later, I see him and he goes, so you still working hard? I said, yeah, we work 60, 70 hours a week. He goes, aha, you need to learn to work smarter. I'm like, so, and now at 21 years old, this is confusing, right?
Right.
Work harder, work more, work smarter. But with time, you realize it's about making sure you allocate your time wisely, and you're focused on either income producing activities, asset building activities, and making sure your efforts are focused in the highest utilized time. So. And it's easy. I mean, this morning
Challenges every day. Right?
It's a challenge. It was a challenge today. I went down a rabbit hole. I need a generator for a project, and I looked up and I realized I'd lost 45 minutes looking at just generators, and I'm like, really? This is something I could be doing at home in front of the fireplace at 9:00 at night with a glass of wine. Though I will recommend, do not have wine with a credit card while shopping.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
good advice.
That's my takeaway today.
But so, with you guys being married for 31 years, what is the greatest obstacle? Because we always see you as a boss, we don't talk about personal life and stuff. I see you guys running around all the time, and I was like, Chris does this. I was like, where does she even find the time? Like, you know what I mean? But what's the greatest obstacle that you guys have as a couple? And how did you overcome it? Or if there's even any, because you guys are, you're so same as far as focus and business, thinking goes. Like, is there even any obstacle at all?
Go ahead.
No, excuse me. It's.
I'll go after you now.
Yeah, no. Oh, well, she's got a list, I guess. Wow, she's like, hang on a second. Let me pull up my phone. Do I do the top 10 list, or do we have time? So, I don't really see, any obstacles. If there are any obstacles, it's that sometimes we work too much.
That's what I was going to say. That's the challenge. The work-life balance, because, for example, many nights this week, it's like, are you ready to go? No, let me finish this project. And then when he finishes that project, he's like, are you ready to go? And I say, no, let me finish this. Then he starts another one.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to go home if we're together. So then you start working, and so I think the work-life balance is.
Yeah, and we've gotten much better over the years. But in the early days, we started in Palm Springs, California. A few years later, we moved to San Diego and expanded our company down to San Diego. I think it was the first 5 years we lived in San Diego, we'd realized we'd been to the beach 4 times. And when I say to the beach, I mean we drive by with relatives going, and that's the beach.
We drop them off.
We drop them off. And here we are in, one of the finest cities in the United States, and San Diego's great, and here we
in
are.
our 20s.
In our 20s.
Yeah.
And, you know, what do you do for fun? Well, I went in late to work today. I went in at 8 instead of 7. So, you know, but, you know, there's no regrets. Absolutely enjoyed it. You know, there's, you know, instead of coming home and saying, what'd you do today? It's, you know, we're catching up on, you know, what didn't you get done today? You know? So,
And you guys can relate, right?
Yes.
we can. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
And we can't obviously catch each other up on everything. So I know
Yeah.
from the get-go, I mean, from early on, Jason's always had 100% confidence in any decision that I would make. So we've truly always felt as partners. And I know a lot of people ask, you know, women, you know, have you felt it differently or anything? And I always feel like an equal, treated as an equal. And I think in this day and age, if you you can empower that within yourself as well.
True.
It's,
Yeah.
That's true.
And
that's
I
how
think
people will see you.
That's the most, I think you hit it spot on. With any marriage, I think that as long as you are treated as an equal and you see each other eye to eye and you have that trust, that's how you can go far. You know, to be able to tell your significant other the problem and come together and figure it out, you know? Because obviously we all know marriage isn't easy. You know, you have your highs, you have your lows, but eventually, you know, just having that opportunity to come together as a team, whether it's in the workplace or at home, you know, that's going to be a successful marriage. Because, you know, I mean, to get a divorce is easy, right? I mean,
It's
Wait,
expensive.
it is?
I mean, I heard there's a number out there.
Yeah.
You know, 1-800 divorce. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
expensive.
But, you know, everybody can do that. You know, it's very hard to stay together and to face obstacles together.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And so that's your takeaway for
Yeah,
Valentine's
there
Day
you go.
Yes.
special.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's trust, it's respect, it's love. It's,
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Find someone that's smarter than you and works harder. That's what I do.
That's
I'm married up.
That's what I
And
do.
so,
Married up.
and so, yeah, my nephews and nieces, they asked me, you know, God, you know, what should I look for in a spouse? They said, someone that's smarter, brighter, and willing to work harder than you. Marry up.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
Well, anyway, we just want to say thank you for, you know, for giving us an insight about you as you guys as a couple, because everybody sees you as this business owner, you know, who owns 8 companies and commercial and doing this and that. But thank you so much for giving us a little bit of insight about you guys as a couple. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to play a game. We'll be right back.
Okay, so we're back, guys. We're putting Chris and Jason to the test to see who is the most competitive in the relationship. So we saw this little TikTok game challenge. And so we're going to see who wins the race without spilling any water on the toilet paper. So I'm going to go ahead and say, on your marks, get set, go, and then you guys are going to go.
Oh.
Okay?
All right.
Ready, set, on your mark, get set, go. Oh, wait, no, you got to pull the toilet
that wasn't
paper.
in the rule.
Mine's already wet. I haven't even touched it.
Oh, wait,
Seriously.
hold on, pause.
Wait.
Pause. Let's fix this.
It needs to be
Okay.
fair.
Okay,
Okay, we'll have
okay.
to start over again.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that again.
I'm like, wait.
She's like, cheating.
Oh, you getting up there?
No.
All
Go
right.
back.
All right, here we go. All right, on your mark, get set, go. Come on, Jason. Team Jason, go. Don't spill. Oh my goodness. Chris
Well,
won.
Well, that was easy. That was easy.
See, you guys thought it was going to be so
Full
hard.
disclosure, she actually majored in drinking in
Yeah.
college.
Give me a quarter.
Alrighty, guys. So we'll be right back after this commercial.
Salute.
Cheers.
It's just water, guys.
So we're back, guys. Thanks for allowing us to do that quick little game and get a little bit of laughter and competitive out of our ourselves. So real estate forecast for 2023. Thoughts?
Well, we're just getting into the data for 2022. We're getting prepared for our annual real estate symposium, which is March 16th at the Victor Valley College Performing Arts Center. That starts at 9 a.m. We will be covering everything from not only just residential, but also commercial real estate. We have an economist, Dr. Chris Thornburg, who will be there. Congressman Jay Obernolte will be there. And we'll be diving in depth into not just real estate, but also the local economics, growth. And there's some exciting things actually coming from BNSF to the industrial market. So we're really excited. As far as the housing market, the third and fourth quarter of 2022 was interesting, let's just say, slight adjustments. We are seeing a significant pickup in real estate. It is seasonal, as you know. The holidays come and, we're preoccupied with family, buying gifts, hopefully. We're busy. We're getting ready for the new year. And right now we're basically, everything's thawing out. The ice is breaking. We're back to work. And that's the same with home buyers. Seasonally it's normal right now, January over January. But I think by spring, most Americans who are in the market will realize that interest rates have stabilized. This is a norm. Actually, if you look for the last 50 years, interest rates in the 6%. Our first interest rate, back in the late 80s was 10 and 11%. So we look at 6% and go, that's great.
Yeah,
that's
not bad.
Yeah, so
it's fair.
It's fair. So I think there's the adjustment has been made. I think we are definitely coming to a stable economy. Interestingly, a lot of the economists are now talking about a stabilized or maybe a very quick adjustment in the market, and I think we've seen that quite a bit of the adjustment already. So I think 2023 is going to be very stable in the housing market. The fundamentals are great. We're still short over 4 million homes in the United States.
That's a lot of homes.
It's a lot of homes. So, we just need to adjust a little bit. I think we're there, and I think the realization is we've underbuilt for the last decade. We still have a housing shortage. If you look at the statistics as far as available inventory, the numbers are coming down. They're still low as far as months of inventory available. So the indicators are good. I think once we get past the holiday hangover, which is seasonal. We see that every year.
And tax season is coming too.
Exactly.
Tax season is coming. And tax season is actually one of the things that actually spurs home buying. And that's not just this year. That's been that way for decades. So I think 2023 is going to be a good year. The economy has great indicators. From the jobless rate to American savings rate, which is still incredible. Debt is still considerably low compared to where it was 10 years ago. So we're healthy. My only advice is people need to stop watching the news.
What? You mean there's not a crash?
Yeah.
Stop watching the headlines.
Yeah,
Get the
we've all
facts.
heard it.
Yes.
Lead with blood and guts. That's what sells newspapers. So,
Right.
whether it's a house on fire, a car on fire, people want to have that train wreck. And I'm just as guilty. Chris knows. I start the morning off with
I know,
CNBC.
so guilty.
Watching the market. And to me, I watch it not because I'm like, what's going to happen. I understand people watch, and their takeaway is if they're positive, I'm positive. It's good to stay apprised, but also remember that you got to step back sometimes, look at the fundamentals. Chris and I have been through, we started our business in a recession. Our greatest expansion and opportunities have been found during market shifts. And this one, I think that we really have been experiencing is probably the quickest and lightest one that we've seen. And we survived through 1991 to 93, and we had tremendous growth during that period. We started Coldwell Banker in 2008. For those of you who don't know, that was not maybe the best time. We didn't get the memo, but I can tell you we had tremendous growth. Every single year we had double-digit growth. So,
and kind of bringing it back to investment, now is a good time to buy. If you look at investments are long-term holds too. So if the mortgage is steady for 30 years, your rents are going to increase on your tenants. So as an investor, it's always a good time to buy, I think so.
Yeah. If the asset makes sense, it doesn't matter when. It's just whether the asset makes sense. So.
Yeah. And then going back to investor again, for the investors, if you guys want to know what's going on in the high desert, if you're ever thinking of putting your money here in the high desert, you want to invite them one more time, and do they need to sign up to,
They
for
should
the
contact
symposium?
you guys. Contact, Karen and Diana.
Yeah.
They can hook you up.
Yes,
Take
we have
notes.
the free codes for you guys. You can't just walk in there and say, I
Right.
want to do the
Yeah.
go to the symposium. You actually need to sign up for it. But if you're thinking of investing here in High Desert, that's the best place to go. So at least, you hear everybody, if they do have representatives, right, from each city.
Exactly. Each city in the county will be talking about what's going on in each of their respective areas and in the future, investments in the community as well. So it's exciting. There's a lot going on in the high desert.
Yeah, and I can tell you, we truly believe in the high desert. Over the last, I'd say 5-7 years, we've consolidated all of our holdings to the high desert. So we had property throughout California, but the opportunity is in the high desert. It's one of the fastest growing communities.
Yes.
And if you look at the projects that are coming to our area, it's exciting. So love being here, love working here, and we grew up in the business, so there's no shock of what we're getting into. I love coming to work every day. I just
That's
absolutely
great.
enjoy my job and getting to work with you girls.
Yes.
Thanks.
Well, Chris and Jason, thank you so much for gracing us
thank
with
you.
your time. I know how busy you
Yeah.
guys are.
Yes.
And if you guys, please watch your channel.
Make sure you subscribe and like. And thank you for watching Mother Freakin' Realtors.